Welcome back to the Fat Guys and Friends podcast. I am on location here in, what town am I in? It's not Wausau. It's
Technically Schofield.
Wisconsin, at Wang's lovely apartments. We just got done watching the Royal Rumble a little bit ago, and we're going to talk about that today. Overall thoughts, pretty disappointing. We'll get into why. Great show, honestly, overall. You know, top to bottom, had some really good matches, but the Royal Rumble match itself did not live up to our 30 minutes of expectations that we covered on the last podcast. Pretty disappointing last hour of the show, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's start with the undercard. Like I said, my name's Colton Bartholomew. I am here with my co-host, Logan Wanger. This is our first time actually doing the podcast together.
In person.
So this is a big deal, people. Big deal. So, Wang, how you doing today?
I've been better. We were talking all day. We were so excited and couldn't wait for the Rumble. We even waited a little while so we could skip through some stuff just to get straight to the Rumble. And now I'm just sad.
I can imagine if you are tapped into wrestling Twitter or Reddit on wrestling, that's pretty much the answers everybody else seems to come up with. But like I said, we'll talk about the Rumble match near the end of the podcast here. We'll go through the undercard, which really saved the night because there were some great matches on the undercard. Let's start with the one that opened the show, the main card here. Charlotte Flair and Bayley for the women's title. A pretty solid match. I mean, we've seen these two go before a lot of times on Raw and obviously in NXT too, but they did a good job getting the show going. And like we said, right when Bayley's music hit, like a good idea to start the show with a huge
crowd
pop
right away.
I mean, Bayley always seems to get everybody going. So, and a solid match, and I love that finish. I mean, you and I both thought that it was going to get finished when Charlotte locked in the figure four, but they've reversed that, and then they finished it with a what is it?
Natural selection
right on the apron, which made it even more intense than
I didn't think that was going to be the finish. And then just when you see Bayley, she's like a pile of puppies. You just get so happy. But this is definitely not the last time we're going to see them. I assume they're going to carry this feud all the way to Mania. Maybe add somebody. I don't know if it's going to be Sasha, if it's going to be Nia. I assume it's like tradition to have a triple threat at Mania with the ladies. So somebody's going to get added, but it's going to be Charlotte and Bayley for sure.
Definitely. And that's one of the things, that's like the top of the women's division's as good as it's ever been, but that's still only 3 or 4 people. It's hard to just have them go out and wrestle each other every week, but they're going to have to keep doing it. And Bayley did kind of show, I mean, she's not still the best offensive wrestler. Her moves still seem to always have a little bit of a flaw in them, but she can sell, and she does it well enough. So,
and she's just so over with the crowd. Like, just when you hear the first note of her music, people are just so happy to see her.
Exactly.
Even with Byron Saxton screaming, wacky, waving, inflatable on flailing tube men.
And then the Corey Graves anger that comes from it.
The inevitable anger.
Which, in all honesty, might be the best part of her matches.
Shut up, Byron.
It's not her fault, but Corey Graves is the highlight of Raw almost every week.
Yep.
So, moving on to the Universal title match that came right after it. Kind of interesting card placement, but I kind of did like how it was paced because it seemed like every match it was, I got to sit here and watch this, I got to see this. Yep. And even as, like you said, we were trying to skip ahead and get caught up so we were live with the Rumble, it was just a little bit hard to with the match quality and the things that we had to see. But like I said, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns, it's a very solid match. I mean, anytime KO's in the ring, it's always going to be entertaining. And Roman did all right.
As much as people hate Roman, he's a good worker.
Yeah, like you can't really fault the fact.
It's just the booking that sucks for him, but he, as a worker, is still very good.
Yeah, and you can't fault the fact that, he's got a mildly limited moveset. He's still a great athlete. Mm-hmm. He still mixes those things up. And there are some incredible spots in that match.
Oh, yeah.
Specifically with that table pyramid. Or excuse me, that chair pyramid
that KO ended up falling through.
Yeah, Kevin built it and then got pushed through it.
And we saw a 280-pound man do a frog splash through a table on the outside.
Yeah, from the top rope to the table on the outside. That was pretty nuts. And awesome. I thought that could have been a finisher right there, but that was halfway through the match.
Yeah.
That was...
And I just want to take a moment to brag that I 100% called before you and I were talking, probably, I don't know, but it might have even been on the podcast before. I don't remember.
I think it was.
But we talked how Jericho could get involved from up top. And I said he'll probably have some brass knucks and somehow get them down to Kevin Owens. I thought he was going to use a scarf to lower him down, because Jericho's funny with his scarves, but he just straight up pulled him out of his tights and threw him down to Kevin Owens.
I probably looked at you with a face of bewilderment for about a minute.
Yep.
I think you might be a witch. I'm not sure, but I was freaked out because you like you said, you nailed that call, and I thought maybe you had read it somewhere, but no, you just kind of came up with it.
Yeah.
And wow, yeah, no, that was great interference. I mean, Jericho hanging above the shark cage. You and I were kind of shitting on it the whole time because it was kind of a dumb gimmick because they told us that was happening forever.
Yeah.
But then still made it another little element to the match, especially with the brass knuckles coming down and being involved.
And the good heel heat for beating up Roman right before the match started.
The inevitable 2-on-1.
And how about the massive swerve of Braun coming out? A friend texted me before, it was Joe Barnes, friends of the podcast, said Roman versus Braun at Mania, and he didn't know that we were behind a little bit. And I said, fuck. That means Roman's going to win, 100%. So mad. So I see Braun Strowman come out, I'm like, oh, why? But then he ends up beating up Roman Reigns, and we get a Kevin Owens. But how shitty is it for Kevin Owens that he just can't win on his own ever?
I mean, it's shitty because you and I like him so much. But when you're working the character of the dirtbag heel, it's actually perfect. Who never can do anything on his own, got handed the title, gets helped every time he defends it. It works for the character, but I agree. I wish I could see some more Kevin Owens by himself.
Just one victory on his own. Maybe it'll come at WrestleMania, which I sincerely hope, but I don't think so.
Probably not. Yeah. It was a nice continuation, though. And you and I said there's a report out. Well, not really a report. Chris Jericho said it himself on a podcast he was on that he's probably going to be doing more limited run with WWE come May. So it's good to know that the KO Jericho tag team / best friendship is going to come to an end. It's mildly soon. Just
run its course.
Exactly, run its course. It's carried Raw, in all honesty, through the brand split because they've had injuries and had some top build guys that just haven't been able to perform. So it's done nice to carry Raw, but it is kind of time for both those guys to do a little more of their own thing. And that might be where we see that Kevin Owens winning on his own and kind of coming into his own as a legitimate, believable guy that wins matches.
Top guy. Yeah.
Top guy, exactly.
I'm excited to see hopefully a Braun Roman feud though.
Oh yeah. I think we mentioned that Roman's a little bit limited in the ring. So if he's a little bit limited, Braun's a lot limited.
True.
His moveset's pretty small. But the way that those guys, they always are able to get monster heels over is by keeping the matches short, keeping them devastating until you get to that payoff where the underdog or the guy that the crowd is supposed to want to win eventually kind of figures it out. Kind of like that Sami Zayn element that they brought in last month with Braun Strowman. It is interesting to watch, though, how Strowman is getting pushed because if he came in the 80s, he'd be perfect. Because he's athletic enough. He's got kind of a crazy look with the beard, being a former Wyatt.
He's a better working Giant Gonzalez.
Exactly. Oh, what a reference. That was good work. But, a guy that just has that look and is a giant. He's easily 6'8" and probably, 350, 360 pounds?
Probably flirting with 400.
Yeah, just and a monster. But we've seen in the recent years, especially, the Daniel Bryans of the world, Seth Rollinses, they can be strong, but it's more over with the fans, at least the smarter fans, if a guy can actually do some moves as opposed to just being big and strong. You can't get Vince McMahon out of that, so when he sees Braun Strowman, he knows he can push him, but it is kind of interesting to watch that contrast between the old school, just big giant guy versus some skilled guys.
This might be the best thing to ever happen to Braun, though, because he's easily going to become the most liked guy in the company because everybody hates Roman so much. So he's going to get huge pops no matter what he does against Roman.
Very true. We will get to Roman hate, especially our own, later on the podcast. A
lot of Roman hate towards the end of the night.
But let's kick it over to
the match of the night.
The match of the night. We could talk about some of the other ones, some of the early guys on the pre-show. It was nice to see Cesaro and Sheamus drop the tag straps.
Gallows and Anderson to finally do something right in the WWE.
Yeah, Gallows and Anderson, who get hyped up as legends in Japan and tag teams that won all over the world, but just can't seem to get one clean victory in WWE. It was nice to see them finally get one. And I think if they're going to let New Day kind of take a little break from being the main tag team for a little while, Gallows and Anderson can carry that division.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of strength in the Raw tag teams. We'll see what they can do to kind of foil them without bringing back New Day. But just giving those guys the straps lend some legitimacy that maybe a random team like Cesaro and Sheamus didn't have.
Yeah, and we finally saw that Enzo's healthy enough, so hopefully we can see Enzo and Cass maybe get back into the tag team situation, because eventually they're going to split up and Big Cass will be a singles guy, but it's not time yet. His feud with Rusev has been less than stellar, to say the least.
Yeah, and the problem with that is when you got a tag team that is so predominantly one guy talks, one guy fights, and then you're trying to make that one guy who fights into like the character you care about. It's like, I kind of rather listen to the guy talk.
That makes me think of the New Age Outlaws 100%. Because when they split them off, it was the one Billy Gunn that nobody cared about, and everybody still loved the Road Dogg Jesse James because he was the one who talked, and the one Billy Gunn was just there.
Yeah, he was a decent worker, but yeah, just never had that pull you in charisma that you need to have if you're going to make yourself into a top star.
Exactly.
The women's tag match that was during the pre-show, all right, that SmackDown crew outside of Becky Lynch and Alexa Bliss aren't the greatest workers, but they can put on a decent match. We both were pretty shocked that they let Naomi be the one that pinned Alexa Bliss. We both kind of assumed that the face team was going to win, but yeah, just talk about that a little bit, Wayne. Why do you think Naomi gets the pin over the champion?
Well, Naomi has shown that she's probably the most athletic woman's superstar on SmackDown, because Bliss is so small that she's limited, and Nikki Bella, as much as she's gotten better, is still not fantastic. And Natalya is a really good worker, but you and I have said it so many times, she's just so cringeworthy to listen to cut a promo.
Yeah.
It's just so scripted and nothing just comes naturally. It's so hard. So I think Naomi is probably the best mix. I mean, outside of her stupid glowing entrance, which I think is just the dumbest thing.
I will say I appreciate that it's different. That she's set out than most of the other women's wrestlers that just come out and music's playing and they walk out
and they wave and or they scowl if they're a heel. Yeah. So it is something different, but I think there's other ways to be different. I don't know. It's just not for me. But once she gets into the ring, she's very good. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she's been working with her husband, either Jimmy or Jey Uso. I can't remember which one she's married to.
It's Jey.
I don't know. I don't watch Total Divas like a lot of people. But, I don't know if she's been working with him, but she has improved. So, I mean, to think that she started out shaking her ass with Brodus Clay to pinning the SmackDown Women's Champion. So I think she's got to be in line for a title match coming out of this.
Definitely, and that SmackDown Women's, we talked about the Raw Women's division being kind of limited after you get to the top. I actually think the SmackDown has more potential because
it's deeper for sure.
It's deeper because the top level isn't as high. Becky Lynch is definitely the third when you take out Charlotte and Sasha, that class that first came in. Yeah, she was definitely the third of those three.
Yeah,
and so the gap between her and the other divas, it's hard to get out of divas,
I know,
man.
it was divas for so long.
But the separation between her and the other women is much less. So the fact that they can make up that difference with storyline and the angles they can pull, I think it's going to make it a division that can actually sustain the 2 segments they give it every week, as opposed to on Raw, where it's like if it's a divas or women's match without Bayley or Charlotte, I just don't care.
Yeah, I mean even the Sasha Nia match, I just don't care that much because the Nia character hasn't done anything for me.
Yeah,
even this injury angle, I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not believable.
And that Nia Jax and Sasha Banks had a match. We actually skipped it just to try to catch up.
Didn't watch it at all.
We assumed Nia Jax won because she's 3 times the size of Sasha Banks, and look at that, she did win.
Which she should have. Nia needed a win more than Sasha.
True.
Sasha is, I think, an 18-time women's champion, the way her and Charlotte have dropped the belt back and forth. But Nia, I mean, I think Nia got called up a little soon. But, I mean, if you're going to do something with her, I mean, getting her a win against Sasha is probably the right way to go.
For sure. And I don't think I've ever seen a monster heel woman since, like,
Karma,
or maybe, like, Beth Phoenix, but even if she wasn't a monster, she was just big and strong. But this girl, or Nia Jax, is just huge.
She's big.
Yeah.
She's a big girl.
She's clearly strong, but she's also a big girl. She's probably pushing 2 bills.
Oh, might be over.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how tall she is, but
she looks. I mean, she looks tall, but that's against Sasha Banks, who's like probably 115 pounds.
Yeah, exactly,
and probably 5'2".
Mm-hmm. So it's just interesting because I feel like that's almost an overcorrection from their like. Like they used to have a model of like find a supermodel that's mildly athletic and we'll make her into a diva, but now it's like find somebody who's an athlete that we can make pretty.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how they've kind of gone further. It's like, okay, she's big.
Like, the perfect example is the Bella twins, who are hot, and then they're like, okay, maybe they can wrestle, and now it's gone to Charlotte, who can wrestle. And then they're like, okay, she's not bad looking either.
Yeah, she's got a crazy athlete's body, but then her face needs some work. All right, so getting past the women's matches, we also skipped the cruiserweight matches because
we watched the finish.
Yeah, we watched the finish of the Neville match.
That's what wrestling fans do.
Yeah,
and with what we assumed what would happen, so we thought Neville would win, which he did, which should happen. And we were talking how Neville just looks insanely big against every other cruiserweight now, just because he's so ripped compared to every other one.
Listen, he took that time with a bad ankle injury that he got on a baseball slide and decided to lift arms almost exclusively.
Yeah, and did a lot of planks, I assume, because that you could wash clothes on his stomach.
Exactly. And I'll be straight with you. Like they've done such a poor job with the cruiserweights that I skip it all the time when I taper off. And now that Neville is actually going to be the champion, I'll probably tune in more just because they let Neville actually create a little bit of a character before they got to the cruiserweights. And that was the thing they never did with the cruiserweights. Like, they had the Cruiserweight Classic and then threw them all into Raw. And if you didn't spend the 8 hours you needed to watch Cruiserweight Classic, you're just like, oh, who's this guy? Oh, his gimmick is a video game, TJ Perkins? Like, all right.
And he dabs a lot. Okay.
Yeah, he dabs a lot. Because that shit was over 6 months ago anyway.
Yeah, and then they had Brian Kendrick come out, who people knew a little bit of, but then they made him into a pirate, I think, for carrying around that stupid flag. And his finisher is the captain's hook, I think they call it, which is really, really, really stupid. But I'm all in. I think the Neville heel turn was one of the better heel turns they've had in the last couple of years.
I would agree. That is definitely the low-key best move of 2016, carrying on in 2017 now, is Neville being the guy that can carry the Cruiserweight division because he has a style all of his own and a high flyer with some more strength than a lot of those guys have. And I will watch all the other Cruiserweights against Neville just because Neville's there.
And I know who Neville is.
I know who Neville is.
They've developed his character.
And learned about the other guy as opposed to two randos that I'm not even sure about and trying to pick up on their cues.
Even with Neville not being on TV for the past handful of months, he's still got more of a character than these guys who you see almost every week.
Exactly. All right. So that was the undercard, but let's move on to the best match of the night.
Yeah.
And it is an early contender for Match of the Year for 2017. Not surprising given who it is, but John Cena and AJ Styles. They just tore the house down, as you knew they were going to, because those guys are two of the best, if not the two best, in the company. I mean, you can throw Rollins in there skill-wise, but John Cena brings eyeballs like nobody since The Rock.
Yeah, he makes people watch from... If the casual fan sees John Cena is on the card, they're probably going to watch. Especially at a Big Four pay-per-view like the Royal Rumble.
Exactly. And, you could tell it was going to be a great match early because they had the crowd going insane because it was right before the Royal Rumble, so everyone's kind of gearing up.
Everyone knew it was coming.
Everyone knew it was coming, and then AJ Styles has the crazy ability to immediately get crowds into whatever side he wants to be. Like when he was a face against Jericho right when he came in, you're all in on him, and now he's a heel. Even if you like him like we do, it's just like, oh, he wants me to hate him? Yeah, fuck you, boo.
Oh, you're a dick.
Exactly. And they had some crazy spots in that match. Yeah. And they did the same thing at SummerSlam when they had their match. Or was that SummerSlam, right?
Yeah, it was SummerSlam.
Yeah, SummerSlam when they had their match. Those guys just raised everything up to the next level. Some of the ones that jump out, I mean, AJ Styles kicking out of off the second rope AA. No, I've never seen anybody kick out of that. That was pretty insane. And then Cena kicking out of the Phenomenal Forearm twice, I think.
Yeah, and then he got his knees up on the 450 splash that he does off the rope, which I didn't see coming. And then the big finish when Cena hit that AA and rolled through to another AA, and I assumed just a third was coming. Yeah. Just because I thought he was just going to keep rolling through it. But how about there was a point in the match where Cena was doing his Ryback meat hook clotheslines, which that's all I could think of. The way he was flexing and staring at AJ Styles,
popping his veins out of his chest, and
he looked like a heel.
Yeah,
he was acting like a heel.
Yeah, he was acting like the physically dominant guy, and it's so funny because for so many of his matches they try to put a bigger guy in there, so then it's like, oh, he's coming back against them. Mm-hmm. But Styles, he's much bigger than him, so that he can use that. He can kind of turn that table of like, oh, I'm going to be the physically dominant heel here. Yeah, so even with his promos leading up to this, they've been very heelish. So they do that, and then John Cena wins the match. So you're like, John Cena's going to turn heel eventually. He's been teasing it so many times. And then, what does the fucker do? Jump into the crowd with a Make-A-Wish kid. Then you're like, oh, he's never going to turn heel because kids with cancer love him, and he's an amazing person. Yeah. I mean, you can... If you don't like wrestling, you're probably not listening to us talk anyway. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, you got to respect the guy who has set the Make-A-Wish record for most wishes granted. By like 200. Yeah, I think that he's in 500 and some, and the next closest is in the 300s. And he's a guy who's done all this stuff with movies, and he's on Good Morning America and all this other crap. But then, every week it seems like there's another Make-A-Wish kid that's at Raw getting the time with John Cena. So his ability to cross over into all of those worlds and still be like the nicest dude, it's crazy. Yeah, and that's why there's no chance he will ever be heel. I mean, he said before, he's like, I would love to be a heel. There's just nobody else who, if there's another John Cena that walks through the door, he said this on Jericho's podcast, if there's another John Cena who walks through the door, I will turn heel tomorrow. If there's somebody who can do, I mean, I don't think he's even trying to be like a cocky dick about it. No. It's just true. I mean, there's not another John Cena, there's not another guy who can carry the company and do the merchandise, do the appearances, I mean, just the travel schedule for anybody else. There is not another active WWE wrestler on the roster outside of The Undertaker, but that's just a longevity thing, that can go on Jimmy Fallon's couch tomorrow and be fine, represent the company great, and simultaneously hype his own movie and then whatever's happening in WWE. Even The Rock wasn't great at that. When The Rock went Hollywood and started doing movies, like he went exclusively movies, which is totally fine. I'm not knocking The Rock, but like, it's yours. Yeah, exactly. But John Cena has been able to keep his feet in both areas, and I mean, he's hosting another award show this year. I think he's hosting the Kids' Choice Awards. Kids' Choice, okay. Soon. Yeah, something. I mean, this guy does so much, and at the same time, is still pretty much a full-time WWE wrestler. You just can't hate on him anymore, and the way that him and Styles work off each other, because John Cena for so long got the perception of the WWE's golden boy and the guy that can't do any wrong and all this stuff, and then you got the indie guy coming in, and that's where he always hangs his hat on. That he's been all around the world and all this stuff, and then what he said in that promo was John Cena wasn't made for the indies. I mean, such a heel thing to say, but then again, so true. Yeah. Because, the John Cena character wouldn't work on the indies. Yeah. It's just so true. That's the best part of the angles that they've been working with John Cena and AJ Styles, is that they're able to blend, like, the factual parts, like you just said. Like, yeah, John Cena as a character would never work in the indies, but I went from developmental to WWE, so it worked. Yeah. I'm the most successful superstar, arguably ever. Yeah, he has probably made the company more popular. I mean, it's got to be close between him and Hogan. Yeah, just because Hogan saved wrestling in the '80s. I don't know if John Cena saved wrestling now, but he's definitely boosted wrestling. He kept it alive in the mid 2000s, early 2010s. When we were shifting. I mean, because Stone Cold is probably the most popular wrestler of all time. Mm-hmm. We were talking about that earlier. But when we were shifting, when Stone Cold was phasing out and Triple H was kind of carrying the company from like 2001 to about 2004. And then in 2004 to 2006, we had the rise of John Cena. And Lesnar. Yeah, and then it's been John Cena ever since. He's been the only, and Orton to some extent, towards the end of the 2000s. But Cena's the only guy who's been there that entire time. Exactly. So it's fun to just watch how they were able to incorporate those real life things of, the indie background and, the WWE upbringing for Cena. And the Today Show calling him the guy from Atlanta. Yeah, exactly. Bringing all that real life stuff and then just working into the angle. And you can just tell those are just two pros. And
They're the two best.
Yeah,
I mean,
came
you
into
said-
a phenomenal match, and I can't wait to see Tuesday what happens with Styles, because we've been talking ever since their match got over. It's like, okay, so what's the future here? Obviously, we didn't know who the Rumble winner was then, but where do they go with Cena? Where does Styles go after this? He's got to still be on the main event scene, because Cena's still going to be a part-time, or when he's in WWE, he's going to be there every week, and he's going to be full-time.
He's like a medium timer.
Yeah, but he's also going to take a couple months off here and there.
Exactly.
So it's going to be fun to watch there, but a great match. And just, if you don't like wrestling, like, you can appreciate these types of matches, because there's awesome athleticism. They're so good, and both these guys have a story that if you get told it by a friend or in those video packages, like, it connects very easily.
The video, that's one thing WWE is great at, is the video packages will get you up to speed if you haven't watched stuff. I mean, even if you're just a casual fan, you can watch the 3 to 5 minute video package and just get caught up to why these two men are fighting.
Exactly. And they did a great job with Cena and Styles there. Definitely a match of the year contender. I'm excited to see where it goes from there. But let's turn down that excitement.
Yeah. What we did is I figured we made my lovely wife, Nicole, watch the Royal Rumble with us. And she wrote down literally the entire Rumble list for us. So we can go through the entire Rumble.
Thanks, Cole.
Yeah, she's a nice lady. I mean, since we're only talking wrestling, we can go through the entire Rumble, which we might as well. So they opened with Enzo and Big Cass coming out, which would, if they're going to do the whole "my name is Enzo" blah 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 spiel,
they
have to come out at 1 or 2.
Come out early.
So Big Cass ends up being number 1, which is nice, and then get a nice little pop of the crowd. Jericho comes out number 2, which I enjoyed. I think everybody enjoyed. And then they end up doing the Jericho. I don't remember when it was, but Jericho left the ring. What? Actually,
I think by about the 5th or 6th guy.
Oh no!
Jericho slid out.
Because what happened is then we had Kalisto come out. Who cares? We had Mojo Rawley come out. Who cares? We had Jack Gallagher come out, which is kind of cool.
Interesting, just because he's a cruiserweight that's actually starting to get a little bit over.
Then we have Mark Henry come out, semi-surprise entrant.
Yeah.
And then this is where Chris Jericho left. Braun Strowman comes out at number 7, and Jericho just rolled out of the ring.
When Strowman's walking down that 1.5 mile long ramp that show had for whatever reason. I don't know what the Alamo Dome's built like, but they had to walk forever. When Braun Strowman's walking down, Jericho has the craziest, best, shock, oh my god, what am I going to do face. And then just decides just dips out, and he's out for half an hour.
Then from there, we had Sami Zayn come out at number 8, which we learned earlier in the night, which... How great was Dean Ambrose in that segment?
Churros?
Yeah, I heard there were churros back here. You want me to open yours for you?
See, now that's where I feel like the lunatic part can be better than what they have it. He's not really crazy, just make him weird.
Just make him quirky.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't have to be like a crazy person, just make him funny.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be funny and fight well.
Yeah, when they had that episode of SmackDown a couple of months ago where he was kept trying to stay in the arena when Shane McMahon kept trying to kick him out, that was great. It's oh no, I left my cell phone. Cell phone's in your right hand. I left it.
Yeah, that stuff's funny. So then we had Sami Zayn. Then we got the nice showdown between Braun Strowman and Big Show, which that was fun to watch. They went back and forth.
At the end of the day, wrestling does come down to the freak show element.
Yeah.
And watching 2 almost 7-footers and guys weigh 400 pounds at it, it's funny.
Big Show picked up Braun Strowman and then for whatever reason couldn't carry him. Then Braun Strowman's I'm a younger version of you, and picked the Big Show up and threw him out. But how athletic of a throwout was that by Big Show?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he could have done that. Even maybe in his WCW days he could have done that, but never in WWE has he been that athletic.
Yeah, no, he's had a tremendous body transformation, and I actually think that he can. He's never going to be a main event guy again, but I'd like to see him on a little bit of a every week. Maybe not for a title, but just have a program with somebody.
Exactly.
Get somebody some shine off him. I mean, that's what Big Show's use has been for the company for a decade now.
Big Show and Kane are around just to get people over.
Yeah, but now with that athleticism and the way he's lost all that weight, he can still go.
I mean, I would like to see him maybe feud for a mid-card title.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, say Rusev ever got the U.S. title back, a Rusev Big Show feud, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Then I think the pop of the night came at number 10, which everybody predicted. The perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. We screamed 10 at the top of our lungs and got yelled at by Cole.
Yep. Well, we have neighbors. Fuck them.
It's 8:30. We're fine.
I didn't really consider that he would come out at 10 until we watched TakeOver last night when I got here. And I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely happening.
Yeah. People love screaming 10. And then one of the bigger disappointments, which I was furious of, James Ellsworth came out. The best part of James Ellsworth coming out is we got to see Carmella for a little bit, which I like looking at her.
Yes. And what they did, they had Braun Strowman in the ring as Ellsworth standing there, because that's who Ellsworth started against and started the whole Ellsworth phenomenon. And Matt Shefke, friend of the program, hates James Ellsworth. He was in on him.
Too.
He was in on the gimmick for a little while. It run its course, and he can't believe he's a full-timer now. But he's like, when he came out, he texted me, Ellsworth, really? Really, really, WWE? Really?
I hate that little man. I cannot stand him.
And as you pointed out, Carmella is wearing James Ellsworth
leggings
or yoga pants, whatever they
were. With his face, with that dumb shirt of his, just all over it. And then another nice moment, we had Dean Ambrose come out, which we had talked. Ellsworth has never got his comeuppance from, essentially turning heel on Dean Ambrose at TLC
and costing the title.
So Ambrose convinces Ellsworth, gets him hyped up, says they're going in on 3. Ambrose doesn't go in, and Ellsworth took a big bump.
Oh yeah, Strowman threw him over the ropes.
He basically chokeslammed him out of the ring,
and his feet caught the ropes at the end, and he landed straight on his back.
Yeah, back and shoulder.
When he was on the Jericho podcast, not too long after his run started, he said the number one thing I learned in wrestling is I'm never gonna get over, so just sell, and that's how I get over. And it's yeah, man, I can see it.
Yeah, you don't have the look.
Yeah.
Ugh. After that, one of the more up-and-comers I thought coming around, Baron Corbin, had a very nice showing.
We talked about him as a potential dark horse to win, but he didn't win, but he had a great showing.
He was the one who eliminated Strowman.
Yeah,
which was a really good rub.
Yep, they had 4 people all kind of attack him at once, and Sami Zayn hit the Haluva kick, which is a great move.
It is really good.
You don't see a ton of corner or turnbuckle finishers, but that's a great move. And
it's like a lesser version of Sweet Chin Music.
Oh yeah, that's a fair comp. And then they knocked Strowman out, which he ended up with the Rumble high with eliminations with 8, right?
Cole wrote all those down. He had 9. He went out at 9. He had 7 eliminations.
7, okay, so he ended up with the lead. He cleaned some house early, but yeah, watching him go out, like you said, it's a great rub for Corbin, and I'm starting to come around the Corbin push.
I'm telling you, since he put a shirt on, he's gotten better.
The magic of the lone wolf shirt.
Yeah, you cover up his flabby tummy, he's gotten way better. Then Rumble favorite Kofi came out. He had another. I don't know. This one wasn't as good as previous.
Yeah, he stood on the post outside of the turnbuckle.
And Corbin tried to hit his feet, and then Kofi had to hit his chin. It hit his chin hard. It looked like.
Still held on.
Back in. Hung out for a while.
It's funny. Kofi Kingston's been in, I think, 8, 9 straight Royal Rumbles, and that's really what he's there for, is the crazy save.
Yeah, to either do a handstand or to get thrown onto the announce table and use JBL's chair as a pogo stick, or to get thrown all the way to the barricade and somehow jump back in. It's cool to see, but it kind of sucks.
That's one of those gimmicks that you only get at the Royal Rumble, and that's why we like it.
Exactly. Miz came out at 15. I thought Miz was a potential dark horse to get a win, just because he's been killing it on SmackDown. He's probably because we talked, AJ Styles is a heel, but he's so beloved. Miz is the best heel.
Yeah, straight up heel.
Mm-hmm. He gets so much heat. Sheamus came out afterwards, who was technically a surprise entrant because he wasn't announced.
Yeah, and they had just lost the titles earlier that day. But
that was kind of dumb. Big E came out at 17. Cool. Rusev with a mask, with a Rip Hamilton mask, coming out at 18. That was nice.
I didn't know that he broke his nose on Rumble on Raw. But
I knew that he was bleeding a lot, and I knew something was. I thought he gashed his head open, but turns out it was bleeding from his nose. Poor guy. 19, we had Cesaro, which is nice. 20, Xavier. This is when I thought we were going to start seeing big names, and it still took a while. 21, we had Bray Wyatt come out. 22, Apollo Crews. We don't get our first, really mega name till 23 at Randy Orton, which was kind of nice to see. 24, we have Dolph Ziggler, still not a huge name.
Yeah. One thing before we keep going with the last 5 or 6 there.
Yeah.
At that point, they had both the New Day, all 3 members of the New Day, and then Sheamus and Cesaro both in. Yeah. And they had a nice, double elimination essentially. All 3 members of the New Day all go out at once
Sheamus and
Sheamus Cesaro. Then
Jericho.
Sheamus tries to throw Cesaro out, but then in
Jericho
that little fight,
comes up behind him.
Yeah, it comes up behind and tosses them both, which signals the New Day aren't breaking up, but Sheamus and Cesaro are, which is probably what needs to happen. But
yeah, the Sheamus and Cesaro thing has run its course. I mean, they had their nice 7-match series. It was kind of cool to see a
bar fight.
Yeah, and then I don't know what word I want to use, the weird tag team that comes together and shouldn't win. But Gallows and Anderson need the titles. They're a better tag team. They should have won every time against them.
Yeah, and they should have beaten the New Day, but then when they realized that they had the streak, then they're like, okay, we got to beat this because Demolition has the record.
Yeah,
come on.
Right. Then we finally thought at 25, it's like, no big guys are in here. We're gonna get somebody at 25. We got Luke Harper.
Then they kept the big 3 that they advertised so hard for the Rumble right for the end because they knew that the crowd was going to be on fire at the end, which is it's a fair strategy.
We finally got somebody at 26. We get Brock Lesnar. The Magic 27, where everybody wants 27, produced the most Rumble winners in history. Enzo Amore.
Just swerve.
Yeah, after Brock had cleaned house, Brock was standing there waiting, and Enzo does his weird kicky thing and runs at Brock and gets eliminated awfully quickly. Then finally we get Goldberg to come out, and Goldberg makes Brock his bitch again, which we are furious about.
Yeah, once you get through the rundown, we're going to break down a couple of these things near the end.
And then 29, we got the man, The Undertaker. And then we're sitting there, number 30, we say, there hasn't been a surprise entrant yet. There's got to be one. I mean, even Kenny Omega, probably a long shot. Kurt Angle just announced for the Hall of Fame, maybe him.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen Triple H. Triple H could make sense.
Seth Rollins, even though, we mentioned in the other podcast, they did kick him off the Rumble on Raw, but, it's still a Rumble. Things happen.
Something could have happened. Instead, we got Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, who lost earlier in the night. Roman Reigns, who everyone hates.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns, who, you could have... Honestly, I think Santino Morella's music hits at 30, people pop way harder or are less upset than if they hear the diggy. Seriously. The look on our face. Cole doesn't know about wrestling, and Cole could tell that people were mad.
Yeah. Well, they always boo Roman, but those boos weren't like, oh, we don't like Roman. It's like, this fucking guy's number 30.
Are you serious?
Like, this is the field. And the thing was at this point, so we mentioned that Goldberg had taken out Lesnar in like less than a minute. He speared him right when he got in the ring and then tossed him out right afterwards.
Immediately.
Undertaker, music hits, gong hits, lights go down.
And we talked about the long ramp. We talked because they upped it from 2 minutes or from a minute and a half to 2 minutes in between entrants.
It had to be because of the ramp.
Yeah, and we discussed it's going to take Undertaker that entire 2 minutes to get down the ramp. They said "fuck you" to us, and the lights went out, and Undertaker was hiding under the ring the entire time, which was genius.
Yeah,
because Undertaker at his age and with his hips and knees, I don't think he can run. And if he can run, it's not longer than the length of the ring.
Yeah. So he pops into the ring, and then he starts taking people out, hits a couple choke slams. He ends up taking out Goldberg, which I thought was awesome.
That was good.
And when that happened, there was only a couple of guys in the ring that were like, okay, like that would make sense if he won. There was like
Miz was left.
A Miz, like
Dark
Bray,
Horse.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt.
Dolph, I think, was still
Dolph
hanging
was still
out.
there. So you're like, okay, you could maybe see that. But I'm thinking we both mentioned on the previous podcast that we wanted Taker to win because we're Taker marks, and I'm like, oh shit, this could actually happen.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Roman Reigns comes out at 30. And Roman goes toe-to-toe with Taker and starts getting the upper hand.
Taker took the straps down before Roman got to the ring, which was a good move.
Yeah, but they start going toe-to-toe, and Roman starts getting the upper hand. I'm just getting pissed. And I'm starting to get to the edge of your couch here.
Just waiting for the Undertaker comeback.
Yeah, something's going to happen. And nope.
We get eliminated.
Yeah, we're at 6 men. I think we're at 6 men at that point. Yeah, and Taker had just eliminated somebody, and then
I
Roman
think it was Baron Corbin.
Was Baron Corbin?
He threw
You're right.
Baron Corbin out.
Yep, he threw Baron Corbin out, and he's standing by the ropes, and then Roman Reigns comes in, and flips him over, and eliminates him. And at that point, you and I lost our shit.
That was the end of our night.
Yeah,
that was
because
our
it
last
just
hope.
became okay. Nobody's winning this match. That's going to be any fun.
Yeah, even when it got down to the last three, and it was Orton, it was Wyatt, and it was Roman. Yeah, the only one that I would have been okay winning from there is Bray, because he's the one that makes sense. I mean, Orton has won a Rumble, Reigns has won a Rumble, and people hate him. You're not. You can, with the reaction he's gotten from almost every big pay-per-view. I don't know how Vince can think. Just why is it going to work this time?
Yeah, what's changed in the last 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
with him, his reactions, or his character that like would make the reaction any different from him? So, like you said, we're down to the last three, and Roman eliminates Bray pretty quickly.
Yep.
After they're down to the last three, and you and I are just like, this cannot fucking
sucks.
happen. This can't fucking happen.
Yeah, every offensive move that Roman hit, I said no out loud.
And I guess thankfully, Randy Orton ends up eliminating Roman, so Randy Orton wins. But as you mentioned, this guy is a veteran. He's already won a Rumble. He's a 12-time champ. So, like, how does putting Randy Orton in the main event of WrestleMania make any sense for the direction of the company right now?
Especially with Cena winning the title early in the night. I mean, depending on what happens at Elimination Chamber, all signs are pointing to Cena Orton number 368.
Yeah, I was about to edition 78.
Seriously, they were the feud from 2007-ish to 2011. I think they
You
had
mix in a little CM Punk, you mix in a little Edge, but outside of those, it was Orton and Cena.
And I think they fought in every sort of match. I think they main evented every pay-per-view at least once. Just why them again? If that's the way they go, it doesn't make sense.
And we'll talk about some potential avenues that can go. But when Cena wins, and then Brock is quickly eliminated, Goldberg's out, like I mentioned, Taker's in that ring, and it's like, oh shit, Taker's like the best choice out of everybody that is remaining here. Because then it sets up that Cena-Taker match, which the internet wrestling community has been dying for the last 3 WrestleManias.
I still want to see it.
That's all I want. Died to see that.
That's all I want.
And it's unless Cena and Orton doesn't happen at WrestleMania, then that's what we're stuck with. We're not going to get it.
Because I mean, the only direction we can see coming out of this for Taker is a match against Roman Reigns, which I don't know who wants to see. But then Braun Strowman screwed over Roman Reigns in his match, so they almost have to go there. So if they do Braun Roman, what does that leave for Taker?
Yeah, and I can't imagine they're going to have this WrestleMania without Taker. They haven't had the last 25
seriously
without Taker. So,
but is it Baron Corbin? Because he eliminated him?
Good Christ, I hope not.
I mean, Corbin's not ready for... I would rather see Orton Cena again than
at least
Corbin,
those guys can still
Taker
move
for the first
around.
time.
Yeah, because then you got one guy who is limited because of inexperience, and you got another guy who's limited because he's 50.
Yeah, and needs a hip replacement.
Yeah, at least Cena. That's the amazing thing about Cena. Cena can have a great match against Styles and do a lot of different things, but he could also go super slow tempo like you would need to do with Taker and still have a great storytelling match.
He could carry that match easily.
Why do they do this to us, Wang?
Just mad. Just sitting here. We were so excited all day, and then just mad.
Yeah.
Just been sitting here mad for like the last 2 hours.
Thank God for that Cena-Styles match. Because had that match either not happened or something happens that wasn't as good, we're sitting here talking about how that was the biggest flop of a pay-per-view we've ever seen.
Or especially at least Big 4 pay-per-views for sure.
Yeah.
Because even Survivor Series from this past year delivered more than that, and that card was extremely weak.
So let's talk quickly about some avenues that can go. Like you mentioned, the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view is in 2 weeks. It's a SmackDown exclusive, I believe.
Yep.
So you got to assume that Cena's title is going to be on the line.
Probably inside
this chamber. Which, I mean, Elimination Chambers can be cool. I don't like it's a reality of the brand split schedule, but I hate the fact that they're only going to get 2 SmackDowns to hype up
that.
These
but I mean,
matches.
it's a cool enough gimmick match where it doesn't need much hype, but it's also going to show how small of a roster they have because they're going to have to push some guys up. Because we were sitting here talking, there's going to be Cena in there, it's going to be AJ Styles in there. Maybe Undertaker.
Maybe
if he works, if he works, he's probably in there. Then you're kind of limited there because you're not going to have Dean Ambrose probably. I mean, maybe depending on what the Miz does with the Intercontinental title, the Miz could be in there. But other than that, you're going to have to use some of your
young talent,
mid-ish Carters.
Baron Corbin.
I'm going to guess Baron Corbin's going to be in there. You could maybe put a Dolph Ziggler type in there. You could put a Bray Wyatt type in there. But even there, we've only named 7 people.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw in Randy too. But then that's they raise.
What's the point?
They raise the questions of okay, then if that's supposed to be the Mania match, Cena versus Randy, like I don't need to see it 6 weeks.
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean, it's still it's a multi-person match, but you don't need to show your hand there. And I mean, it's the thing you ask yourself all the time. It's what if Randy Orton wins? If Randy Orton wins the title, you just made his Rumble win useless. Absolutely useless.
Yeah.
Might be the stupidest thing in wrestling ever.
Agreed. I mean, we'll see what happens on Tuesday with SmackDown. I don't entirely get why Randy Orton needed to win the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I would have much rather it gone the other way with the last 3. With
Bray winning?
Yeah, with a quick Roman Reigns elimination of Orton and then Bray flipping him over.
Exactly.
I would have gotten that.
Yeah.
But this just, it's like, okay, why am I seeing the same guy? But I want to get to one last thing and we'll wrap it up here. But why did they hype up Lesnar Goldberg again for Goldberg to just whoop Lesnar again?
If we don't get, it doesn't need to be like an MMA style fight, but it needs to be what the Dean Ambrose Brock Lesnar match should have been at Mania 33 when they were going to have their street fight. It needs to be that, but they need to almost fight for real. And they need Brock Lesnar to maybe rip Goldberg's arm off and beat him with it. Because the way Brock Lesnar has been booked after beating the streak, which, I mean, I know wrestling is stupid because we're getting mad that this MMA fighter who won legit fighting competitions beat this undead zombie mystical man who had just because he had never lost at this big wrestling event.
Still mad.
Yep, but we're still furious about it. And they shit all over it.
Yeah,
with the Goldberg thing at Survivor Series.
And now,
yeah.
I get the Survivor Series because of the shock value. Oh my God, Goldberg won in a minute. What?
And that's what he did in WCW.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah, but then you get to this match, why are other guys jumping in and then trying to fight? Why did that have to happen immediately? Why can't those guys be in the ring for a little bit together? Trying to fight through guys to get to each other.
I'm fine with Goldberg eliminating
throwing him out. Yeah, exactly.
Because that's still going to set up.
It continues the he's got Michael Cole yelled
something
at
has to
Goldberg has got Brock Lesnar's number. Oh my God!
And now instead of Goldberg coming back to fight Lesnar, it turns into Brock Lesnar needing to fight Goldberg again.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's one last thing I want to touch on that we didn't get to is why didn't we do anything else with the Triple H Seth Rollins storyline?
I don't know why you put that on TakeOver and then almost completely ignore it on Royal Rumble.
I understand putting it on TakeOver because it was so surprising.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but then no mention of it tonight.
I mean, they said that Rollins is going to talk to Stephanie tomorrow, which big fucking whoop.
Yeah. Awesome.
They talk every Monday Night Raw.
There's always an office. I'm doing air quotes. Great radio.
Yeah.
But there's always an office segment between those two.
So if Triple H doesn't show up tomorrow, I'm thoroughly confused because we haven't seen Triple H in 5 months.
Yeah, since he handed Owens the title, we have not seen him on Raw. However, I will be more mad if I don't get a better explanation from somebody on why all of the entrants were on the current roster. We didn't get one legend. We didn't get one return from injury. We were there was reports all out this morning on the internet that Finn Balor was seen at the arena.
People saw him.
Apparently, you were just watching. Like, how do you have a third? Like, that was, we mentioned that on the previous podcast. Like, that's the fun of the Royal Rumble. Like, you have these old timers come back. Like, I was talking to my coworkers about how Honky Tonk Man came back like 2 or 3 years ago.
Cool.
That fat bastard with his guitar.
And all he did was hit people with a guitar.
Yeah, and then he got thrown out. And it's like, yeah, that's in an hour-long match. You can have a guy that has no chance of winning.
You need something like that.
Ellsworth is that guy, but like, don't make it Ellsworth because that's boring. We see him every week.
Exactly. It just, none of it made sense. I'm not going to say it was the worst Rumble ever, but it was a very weak Rumble.
Yeah, I don't think it was the worst Rumble ever. I think there were enough spots that were like, oh, sweet, this is awesome. Like, the Taker come out.
Yeah.
I mean, even Goldberg and Lesnar are always going to be a spectacle when they come out.
But our best return / debut was a guy who yells 10.
Yeah.
That's all we got.
And let's just be real, Ty Dillinger's not on the main roster. He came up.
It might be. But
No, he came up because of 10, and he's getting
because
a good
he yells
push.
the number 10.
Yeah, he's getting a good push in NXT. Like, he needs to stay there because I think he can be a main event guy.
Speaking of NXT, we didn't get to see Samoa Joe.
Yeah, no Samoa Joe, no Shinsuke.
Yeah.
After dropping the, I mean, they
Depending
did that.
on what that injury was, but
Yeah, if
still.
it was real or not, but yeah, after dropping the belt to Bobby Roode, no Shinsuke.
No, nothing.
Yeah, no returns.
We got a guy that yelled 10, and that is it. That was our big spot.
Exactly. I mean, like we said, a good card top to bottom, but just didn't live up to Rumble expectations.
Not at all.
Because, it's usually the most fun of the matches of the year. And this one, I give it a B. B minus?
C plus.
C plus. That's fair. The no returns kills it for me because like I knew every single person. I wanted there to be like, oh, what the hell is this guy doing here?
Right? Even like a fake return. Like even just hit Angle's music for me. Just let me yell "you suck" a couple times at nobody.
Exactly.
Something. But we got nothing.
All right. Well, that was the Fat Guys and Friends Royal Rumble pay-per-view review here on the podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Fat Guys and Like Nancy Friends. Tweet us about the show. Tweet us ideas for the show if you'd like to. You can also email us at fatguysandfriends@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube, Fat Guys and Friends. We upload the podcast in a video form. You can watch it like that. Or through Wang's Wizardry. We are also on iTunes.
Yay.
So you can subscribe to us, Fat Guys and Friends. Just search that in the podcast. So, yeah. So we'll be back soon, probably talking some Super Bowl this week. I mean, that's coming up. We're as wrestling fans, I mean, it's nice to have that off week of January. They schedule the Rumbles perfectly every year.
They're very smart about that.
Yeah, the off Sunday between conference championships and the Super Bowl. But
it's way easier doing this in person, I found.
Oh, sure is.
Yeah, we don't talk. I mean, we talk over each other more, but it's easier
to stop and start.
Yeah, we suck. It's still not good.
It's still exactly what people expected from us.
It's not a lot.
Yep. All right. So find us there. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with your friends. We're at 97 likes on Facebook. Get us to 100 people.
Yeah,
share it up. Let's go.
Come on.
Come on. You're better than that. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye.